This is what we're going to learn today. We're going to cover some of the common myths in wine, red wine versus white wine, where they get their flavor, dry wine versus sweet wine, what makes a good wine. And then we're going to dive into the top 5 wine regions by countries. So at the end of this, all of you will be an expert in wine. But before we begin, how many of you would say, I'm already an expert in wine, or pretty close to it. I know my wines. Drinking it? All right, 2. I guarantee you though, everyone in here will at least learn one thing new, whether you say you're a complete novice or whether you feel like you know a lot about wine already. So let's get right into it, starting with red wine versus white wine and where they get their flavor. You might say the grapes, and you would be correct, but if you stop there, then you'd be wrong. See, the flavor for red wine comes from the skin, but for white wine, it comes from the white flesh with inside. So that means you could actually take a red grape, remove the skin, use the white flesh, and create a white wine. So if grape varieties don't always necessarily determine whether it's a red or white, do they at least determine the sweetness of the wine? No. In fact, it's the winemaker who determines the sweetness of the wine. Any wine can be made into a sweet wine. See, it's the sugar that is left inside the grapes that ferments into alcohol. And a dry wine means that almost all the sugar has been fermented into alcohol, while sweet wine means there's still some sugar left over, or more likely, the winemaker went back and added some sugar at the end. But what if you're in a restaurant and you want to get a good wine, but you want to try something new, something that you've never even heard of, something out of your comfort zone? Should you just get the oldest bottle of wine? Is that the best, right? Wine gets better as it ages. Well, if you're going to do that, you should really know your wines, because over 90% of wines are best off consumed within 1 year. So especially if you want to get a wine cellar at home and store wines, do your research and make sure if they're going to be sitting there for over a year that you have the right wines to do so. But a simple technique to actually get the most out of your wine is to simply decant your wine. That's a fancy word for saying, let it breathe, give some oxygen to it. Now you can't do so by simply taking out a cork and letting it sit in the bottle. You actually have to activate it by moving the wine around. And that's why you'll see people pour it to a glass, swish it around the glass. It may look snobby if you don't know why, but that actually releases the aroma and the flavor of the wine. And that's how you're going to get the most out of your wine. But let's dive into the top 5 regions by country. This way, when you're in a restaurant and you see that big list, you're going to know, hey, I want to try something new. I know one of these regions are going to have a good wine, and I kind of know what they're known for. And this is where the game's going to kick in, because the winner of this game will get to take home a bottle of wine with them. We're going to guess the top 5 wine regions by country. So if you want to say, for example, Tuscany, you're going to say Italy. If you want to say Napa Valley, you're going to say the United States. So starting with number 5, going down the list, according to Google. So I know some of you won't always agree with it. But starting at number 5, what are our guesses? France?
Italy.
Italy? No.
Greece.
No.
United States.
Argentina.
Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina. They're known for their Malbec, and I think what I like about Argentina is they're a great value for their wine.
Yeah, they should be around number 3.
I agree. This is according to Google. But the reason why I think it's a great value for their wine is due to their costs. In Argentina, one acre of land and labor is about $30,000, where if you compare that to California, $300,000. But let's move on to country number 4. What are our guesses? We got TK in the lead.
Oh,
France.
Chile.
It's Chile. Nope.
Italy.
No.
Australia?
US.
No. US. There you go. Yeah, give you guys some credit. What wine do you think is most popular in the US? It's a white wine. I'll give you that hint.
Chardonnay.
Chardonnay. Yep. Chardonnay is the most popular wine, and chances are, if you get a wine that's made in the United States, it's going to come from California, because over 90% of our wines are made in California. And that's why sometimes you might see our wines are more expensive than foreign wines, because of that big cost that you saw before, $300,000 per acre of land and labor. But let's move on to country number 3. We have TK and Marcus tied right now.
Oh man, I forgot it's a game.
Chile.
Listen, whoa. We have to raise our hand.
France.
Marcus can't do that.
Germany.
England.
No, you guys are
South
close.
Africa.
You're in the right region.
Mexico.
Spain.
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 TK just took the lead. Actually, a fun fact about Spain is that Spanish wine was the Romans' favorite wine. And Rioja is a great Spanish wine. It's a mix of different red blends with the dominant grape being Tempranillo. And it's great for those of you who love Cabernet Sauvignon. If you've never had Rioja wines, definitely give them a shot. Let's move on to country number 2.
Italy.
France.
Chile.
Italy.
All right, I'm in the
White-
game, baby.
White's in the game.
Minute.
Yeah, hey, if you like sparkling wine, you have to have Prosecco from Italy. It's the birthplace of Prosecco. But even if you don't like sparkling wine, Italy has over 2,000 different grape varieties. So I guarantee you, there's going to be some wine for everyone out there that you're going to truly enjoy. But if you want to go to Italy and be accepted in their culture, you need to drink like one. So what does that mean? Well, the average Italian consumes about 54 liters of wine per year. And in our terms, that's a little over 1,800 fluid ounces of wine per year. Let's move on to country number
France. I said it.
I said it,
France.
Dwight said it first. We're gonna have to go with a tiebreaker after this. Yep, France is number one. They're known for Bordeaux, but not only Bordeaux, they're known for many other wines. And it's believed that they have the best wine due to their terrain and their centuries-old traditions. But we're gonna have to go to a tiebreaker. What's number 6
Germany.
on the list?
Oh, it's just between them.
Just between you two.
Chile.
Oh my God. Africa.
That's a continent.
Bro.
South.
Somewhere over there. Denmark.
No.
Australia.
Greece.
No.
All right, fine. Marcus, what's yours?
Egypt.
No. European country.
Yeah. It's near
Portugal.
One in the middle.
Oh,
No, Portugal's number 10.
It's in the middle.
Wow.
Wow.
let me back in. I'll get it.
Turkey.
Jeez.
No, it's a popular country.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
Europe.
Rush.
Oh, Czech Republic, no? It's near-
Maybe you guys said it.
Austria?
You said it earlier. I know you guys definitely said it earlier.
Belgium.
Finland.
Netherlands.
No.
Germany.
Yes, Germany.
All right. I'll still share with you,
That's
TK. I'll
cool.
share with
There's
you.
only between those two.
I know. I've been telling him the same
I don't know.
Oh, that's what you were saying?
Well, Toastmasters, take this information. Next time you go and try wine, you can decant your wine, get the most out of it, and you'll be able to try new wine successfully because now you are all an expert in wine. Thank you.